I did something that I thought was completely impossible. In Abyss, 60k is almost impossible to hit. If we go to world rankings, every single person has KIGIRI at the top. KIGIRI is undeniably the best DPS by a mile. It is not comparable. He is required. Or so you would think. Well, today, I have made that a false statement and done 60k Abyss for someone else without any KIGIRI. No KIGIRIs at all. Now, this is not a guide, this is a showcase, because when you go into how it was done, you're gonna see something a little interesting, which is the fact that every hero is A5. A5, 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 A1, A5, A5, A1, which is his best awakening. He doesn't need more. A5, A5. This is unachievable for everyone, except this guy, in which I was able to somehow get 60k, and I want to share this run for you guys, because we all know that KIGIRI is required. But the fact that he's not is pretty interesting. Now, obviously, the gear is also insane. I mean, this account's insane as well, but either way, it doesn't distract from the fact that you don't actually need KIGIRI, you just need everything else A5. Now, once again, this is not a guide, this is a showcase. Now, if this helps you get to 22k or 35k, that's good. But for this is the team we're using, and there's a lot of weird decisions I have made for this. Number one, Eloin is here. Why is Eloin here? Well, that's purely for the rage regen. This allows me to get an extra Wukong ult. This allows me to get an extra Numera ult. Ultimately, this increases my damage by a large margin and is more than worth having issues with healing. Now, because she's A5, the issues with healing are pretty much negated, and we're also not going to make it past the third physical because we only have Moradin and Wukong for physical damage. Now, I also put Moradin on the SO side just to make it easier with timings, just to make it so we could ult back to back if I needed, which is good. And then Ares replaces what usually would be used as Torador because he brings not only defense reduction, he also gives physical vulnerability pretty much all the time. So Ares is very good if you can keep him alive. And because we have Narissa A3, I can kind of just let Ares do his thing and he'll live no matter what, more or less, which is pretty cool. Now, it is a little bit hard to do this because of placements and blah, 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 but I'm going to go into it and explain how this was even possible. So immediately when we get in, we're going to have to try to pause as soon as possible and work on these placements. So the placements are pretty specific. We have to do Wukong first, give Wukong Invig. We have 3 Invigs. We have Diao-Chan, Eloin, and Narissa. Eloin is an Invig because it was easier to get better gear, and she needs better gear. So we have Wings of Grace on Diao and Wings of Grace on Narissa. This is going to go on Numera and Wukong. Now, Moradin actually, unbelievably, does the same amount of damage as Wukong in this run, which is kind of wild to me that it's so similar, but it really is. So you're going to see that. So maybe Wings of Grace on Moradin would be better, but for now, we're just going to give it to Wukong. We can swap Diao immediately. Then we're going to do our Numera, who is then going to get the Narissa buff. Narissa buff is just to make healing a little easier. Moradin's so tanky, and we're actually putting Narissa on the bottom in order to heal Moradin when we move him away from the boss. If you don't know how Moradin works, on the magic phase, it's more efficient to face him away so that he builds up his stacks and becomes stronger, which is very, very, very valuable. So we're actually going to place Narissa on the bottom. This causes issues with the unit in the top left, but I have made an adjustment that makes that possible. And then we are going to place down our Moradin, third best DPS, and then an Eloin right there. Now, the placements don't really matter too much. The main thing is you got to make sure that Born is having all 3 of our main DPS in his range, because with the A1, he puts shield break on 3 units. Numera does not need it. We have so much magic damage that the shield just disintegrates in half a second. But, you know, it's more efficient anyways. Then we put Ingrid in the top left. The reason why Ingrid is in the top left with no AoE damage reduction is because she inherently gets damage reduction from the A1. And obviously she's A5, But the A1 keeps her alive, which is why she's the only unit that can go there and survive. Then we put the rest of the units, and we leave it for now. We're not going to click anyone's ults. We are going to spam Wukong as soon as it is almost up, though, and we'll see what happens. So bam, Wukong immediately. We're going to wait a little bit longer, and then we're going to click our Ingrid. It's just, we have a lot of attack speed on this Ingrid because the gear is very good, so that's the most efficient way to do it. Then, if you want to build Soulbound stacks, you can just immediately click Eloin. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. Here we're going to click Moraiden around when the Drake's Bellow comes up. And we have Wood Elves. A5 gives us another Wood Elf. Keep that in mind. But either way, we're going to keep this going. Now, Wukong is basically going to be up in a second. Because we have Eloin, I can actually Wukong ult right now. And we should have him up for one more time before the shield. If it doesn't happen, the run's not cooked or anything, but I have had certain times where he's able to ult 3 times on the first phase. We'll have to see if that's possible, but either way, it's okay. Come on, Wukong. Wukong, my boy! There we go. Bam! See, another ult. We're already at 8k with only 2 physical DPS, which is kind of ridiculous. But either way, we're going to Numera as soon as the phase swaps. Ingrid's in overdrive. We're getting as much damage as possible. We're going to move our Moraiden out, facing him down. Very important, because now he's going to enter his charging phase. His charging phase is going to allow him to build stacks, which is going to make his ult double duration, which paired with his A1 and his A3, or I think maybe just his A1, it will build us up enough rage to ult with him again, so he can ult 100% of the time on the next phase. Not only that, you know, it increases his attributes, whatever, I'm Canadian, don't judge me. Either way, we're just going to keep this going. And our main goal is to survive. I'm going to put out a Wood Elf in the center right here to heal basically everyone. And I'm actually not going to Eloin ult yet, because no one's really in danger of dying. Make sure to spam Numera ult as well. And then right before the Seismic Slam, I'm going to click the Eloin ult to try to stay alive, which is going to be pretty easy right now. Then we're just going to keep things going. You know, most of the poison trio is on auto ults, so we don't really need to micro them. Here, I'm going to put another Wood Elf just for a little bit of support for the Meteoric Deluge. We're going to click our Numera as soon as she is up once again. As you can see, Ares is living, and as long as he keeps that Wukong thing, we are good. He can survive with the way that I have this team set up without it, but it's inconsistent. So I do like to have that Wukong thing going. And also Ingrid is at risk of dying, so Ingrid also has the Wukong thing. Now, Numera should be able to come up one more time. As you can see, the damage that we have is insane. It is insane amounts. But of course, that's because we're not going to break the 3rd physical. Now, we're going to keep this going, as you can see there. As soon as we get the swap, we're swapping Moraiden back to where he was, face him up, click Wukong immediately. We need to do that. Also, I forgot to click Ares on the first phase, which is a mistake on my part, so that's some damage loss, but that's okay. Here, we're going to put down the Wood Elf once again. No other ults. We're just kind of trying to keep an eye out on Ingrid, because everyone else is completely fine, but Ingrid is a little bit of a problem. Here we can use Eloin ult. Eloin ult lingers, so even though we're getting stunned, it actually continues to heal. Then we're going to spam our Wukong, get the Wukong out as soon as possible, followed by another Wood Elf for this Bellow. And as you can see, everyone is staying alive pretty easily, even Ingrid, who doesn't have any AoE damage reductions. We're going to wait a little bit for this Worm's Wrath to almost be up. Then we are going to click our Ares ult just for all of those debuffs I was talking about, which we should have had earlier, but I made that mistake. Then we're going to do our Moraiden again. We're going to wait until it is close to broken, or at least the timer is almost up. As you can see, Moraiden is putting in work, but we're going to click Wukong to help finish off this shield and get a little bit of damage out on the boss. As you can see, Moraiden ult still up, which is crazy. Just ult into an ult, does extra shield damage. It's amazing. I love Moraiden. I think he's great. Now, we are going to have to move him out, though, in a second. Not quite yet, but in a second. Right there, we're going to swap him out. We're going to put down Numera ult. And then we are going to keep things going. Now, this is where it gets a bit rocky because Numera loves to die on this phase, which obviously we don't want, right? It's no brainer, right? We don't want death and dismemberment. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to wait until Ingrid gets a little bit of healing and we have a little bit of downtime to Eloin ult, which will hopefully keep everyone alive. We can Numera again. And our main goal is just having Numera live. If she lives, this run is good. Now we just need to focus on keeping Ingrid alive and also not dying to the Meteoric Deluge. So we're going to put the Wood Elf, get a little bit more healing out, which is great. And we're just going to try to stay alive, honestly. Meteoric Deluge, luckily, is getting put on Ares when he has a shield. We're going to click Numera. Because we have so much magic damage, and the magic damage is such a high concentration, we don't need Numera ult for the shield, which is insane to me, but we don't need it. As you can see, Nestia's almost up, and when she pops, we'll kill it immediately, or just off the backs of Ingrid's overdrive. It doesn't matter. Anyways, now we get to Numera on the vulnerability. Look at that damage! 56,000! And we still have the physical shield, and if you were able to break it, you still have another magic phase. But look at this damage! Numera, 150 million damage is ridiculous. It is absolutely absurd. Now, we're going to swap over. We're going to do our Miraidon ult right there. Then we're actually going to click Ares ult. We're going to sell our Ingrid. We're going to sell our Nestia. We're going to sell our Vorn because we're not going to break that shield. We want to have as much heal potential as possible. So we're going to click our Miraidon. He's going to ult for the rest of the duration of the fight until we lose. And then we can click Wukong immediately now that we have Ares ulting. And you can see 58,000. All we have to do is we have to keep things going. We should be able... Oh, also sell Numera right here. All we're trying to do is we're trying to stay alive. And we're trying to do damage. We're going to get one more Wukong ult. Miraidon's going to continue to ult. Here we can Eloin right here on this the Storm Surge. Keep everyone alive, which is going to be pretty nice. And then we have another Wood Elf, which is amazing. And then we can Wukong again. And we have broken 60k with no KIGIRI. Is that not unbelievable? I cannot believe this is possible. Now, obviously, like I said multiple times, this is an unachievable run for 99% of the player base. More than 99%. This is literally like only this person can do it. Or multiple people can do it if they have all the requirements, right? This is not going to help you get 60k. But I had to make a video because this is literally an impossible feat, which is crazy. Now, 63,000. Look at the damage numbers. Guess who's above Wukong? Miraidon. I told you guys Miraidon was good. That's how you use Miraidon. If you can use them on Esso, it's better. I've seen people at 60k with an A0 Miraidon on the Nightmare side. Numera, honestly insane with Awakenings. Right there. I mean, 150 million is crazy. Vorn doing okay damage. Nestia doing insane amounts of damage. This really, really helps because she's awakened. Her awakenings are good. And Ingrid doesn't do a ton, but she's there for shield break. And she's there just for some supplementary damage. And to boost not only Diao-Chan, but Wukong as well. That is 60k. That is insane. Now, something else that's kind of crazy is the gear. Now, I have to share the gear, but Miraidon really, really surprised me. I didn't think he could do better than Wukong, but he did undeniably better than Wukong, in my opinion. And despite losing 200 million damage from KIGIRI, we still did very well. So, this is the gear. We have a Cataclysm Ring with Esoteria, as well as some extra damage here, which is pretty good. We also have a quad and a quad. No attack speed on that quad, but it doesn't really matter too much. And then Miraidon exclusive, obviously. And then we're going to go to Nestia. We'll go in order from now on. She's in Soulbound, 1 crit damage, 2 attacks. I have her with some HP, but I don't think I needed the HP. I probably could have built her more DPS. 2 quads, obviously. And then Tear of Twilight with a 14% attack roll, which is ridiculous. Narissa is in primarily attack, but also with a little bit of HP. I think more attack speed would have done a lot, but of course, it doesn't really matter that much. So we got the healing out anyways. For an A1, we have this piece, which is crazy. We have all of these pieces, 1 crit damage main, 2 quads, of course, and a spirit siphon right there. Now, Numera has an SO ring. This one's even better. Then we have some HP right here because she struggled to live. And then we have 2 quads on the left, obviously. You guys notice a pattern, right? Shatter Tilt is her best. Then Ingrid, I actually had 1 attack bonus, 2 crit damages, because she stacks so much attack that I'm trying to keep it a little bit down. And then we had a ton of HP. She did not need this much HP, I don't think, but we had it anyways. And then she has extra attack speed. That's why I trigger her in such a way, because I mathed out the attack speed, and that worked best for me. Xiaochan, as much attack as possible. Just stack her with as much of it as you can, and some HP as well to keep her alive. And then exclusive, of course. Moving on to Wukong, we have crit damage, 2 attack bonus. We have 1 rage regen for the little bit of extra rage regen we need, and then 2 quads on the left. He's built better than Miraidon, doesn't do as much damage as Miraidon. Miraidon is still better. Ares is in morale because we need as much HP as we can on the HP mains, but it's also because morale, we need the extra bonus damage. So that's very, very valuable. We also have the key of Forsaken with a couple things there. And then Elwyn, we have a lot of HP, healing effect, and attack. This is a very good Elwyn build, in my opinion. And this is what we need. As you can see, Malric gems have been infused in every single artifact. They are super valuable in content in this game and make stuff like this even more possible. But yeah, the fact that this is even doable, and you can even do this, is insane. I mean, we go down to people who are doing less score, and you can see Mango, for example. Mango's a very good player. This is a very good, impressive achievement. 60k. Look at that Kigiri damage. That's insane. This is one of the lower Kigiris I've seen. We go up. Kigiri, 180, right? We go up. 230. 230 and still hitting less, right? That's insane. I'm very happy with this run. I'm very, very stoked that this is even possible. And yes, it does auto. So I'll leave you guys with the auto. Maybe I'll say a couple more things, but yeah, basically, as crazy as the Awakenings and the gear are, and as inaccessible as this team is, you are removing the single most important unit that is essentially 3 DPS in 1 by the amount of damage output that he does. And not only that, he can dodge the Meteoric Deluge, which is huge. But honestly, the only reason why this is possible is because of Miraidon. Without Miraidon, there is no other alternatives. And I know people are disappointed with Miraidon, and I know there's an A5 Miraidon, but still, the fact that Miraidon is doing Wukong level of damage, sure, with an SO, specific SO ring, and all of that stuff, and the gear is pretty solid, but Wukong is built better, and still, Miraidon is technically outperforming him, which is crazy. And even if Miraidon did even less damage, Miraidon's the only reason why we're getting through this, the Meteoric Deluge with moving. And, I don't know, his damage is insane, he's a lot of fun. Right there, we didn't get a Wukong ult, which I think makes this auto bricked. Unfortunately, Wukong, for some reason, decided, hey, I'm actually not going to ult, so I'm going to miss a lot of damage for you. So I may need to fix that in the auto, but that is like a 2k loss, and then Ares does die there. This is not a 100% consistent run. There is still a lot of kinks to be worked out. But the fact of the matter is, I mean, to be honest, this is doable. And with a couple tweaks, this will become consistent as well, which is kind of insane. We might even get it here. Just taking it over at the end. Let's click the Wukong ult and just barely off. But with some tweaks, it'll work. I'm very happy with this. I don't know if you guys can tell. Yeah, it's wild. Anyways, that's everything I wanted to cover. Thank you guys so much for watching. This was a blast to do, and I'll see you on the next one. Destined signing out.